Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Credible Perspectives. In this season, we're still discussing everything to do with electric mobility. And today we have Mr. Andrew Kamanu, who's the Fiscal Policy Specialist at Rome Electric. Karibu sana.
Thank you, Mukami. Glad to be here.
Thanks for joining us. My favorite question and my first question usually is, how did you find yourself in the electric mobility world?
Okay, thank you for that question. I'm a believer that the time you're born, you always have a purpose. And the time I was born in, the challenges that we face are around sustainability. So based on my background and based on the kind of expertise that I have, I find myself in electric mobility since I have a background in tech and supply chain. So marrying the two, I have a love for emerging technologies. So that's how I ended up here with a background in computer science, master's in international supply chain. And so when the question came up of how do you import batteries in Kenya, how do you ABCD in Kenya, did the research and found myself here.
Okay.
Yes.
So what does Rome Electric do?
So Rome Electric is an e-mobility company founded in 2017. Initially, we were retrofitting motorcycles and buses. Take an existing motorcycle, remove the battery and put a motor and put a battery and make it electric. Do the same for buses, remove the engine, put a battery motor. So essentially, we're doing conversions. And then gradually started doing our own designs. So we own the IP. And Rome is a Kenyan-grown, Swedish-born company.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what we do.
Tell us a bit more about that. Swedish-born but Kenyan. What did
Yes.
you say? Yeah.
So the founders did this as a project in Sweden, but the implementation was more needed here. So they came and started it here, started doing the retrofitting, and gradually did the design and building of the bikes and the buses from scratch in Kenya. But the idea was not born in Kenya.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. And how has that been? How has the Kenyan market been since 2017?
The Kenyan market is challenging, but within that challenge lies the opportunity, simply because if you crack it in Kenya, you have access to the whole of Africa.
Okay.
So the motto of Rome is electrifying Africa, one vehicle at a time. So what we do, we look at sustainability, and the main reason we focus on motorcycles and buses is because they're the largest polluters.
Okay.
So out of the pollution that is in the environment, the largest percentage is through motorcycles and buses.
Okay.
So we thought of sustainability. If we can be able to electrify the largest polluters, then we stand a very good chance of cutting down on carbon emissions.
Okay.
Yes.
Before we came on, I asked you if we would call electric mobility renewable energy or sustainable energy.
Yes.
Please tell us more.
Okay. So electric mobility is a sustainable form of transport. In that, the more you do it in the right way, the bigger the ripple effect. Electric mobility uses renewable energy. As you're aware, around 92% of Kenya's grid is green. In that, out of our grid, 92% of the electricity comes from wind, solar, and geothermal. It's only 8% that comes from the fuel. So when you use electricity from Kenya on our electric bikes, the transport is sustainable using a renewable energy from the grid.
Okay.
Yes.
So in the course of your work, that has been about 7 years now.
Yes.
How has the financing of your work been?
Financing is an interesting concept because any startup doing financing in Europe, in the States, and sometimes in Asia, gets a lot more funding than in Africa. However, we are seeing a slight shift in those dynamics simply because a lot more value addition is being done in Africa. So most of the investors always have a question of, do we have the skill power to handle our investments in Africa? Are the businesses investor ready? And what's our return on investment in Africa? And the third one has been the biggest factor leading to investment in Africa. Africa currently has the highest return on investment. Secondly, the workforce in Africa is much younger than in almost everywhere else on earth. So if you look at the population in Africa, at least 50% of the workforce in the whole world will be from Africa by 2050. So investors are looking at how to invest in our workforce to be ready for that future.
Okay.
So as it stands right now, we actually have 3x more investors interested in Africa. And based on the statistics at Can Invest, actually a lot more money is being floated and taken back than is being uptaken by our companies.
Okay.
Simply because some of our industries are not investor ready. Some of our organizations don't have the proper structure to actually grow an investment. But this is gradually changing. And based on this change, we are now seeing more investor confidence in our market.
Okay.
Yes.
What does one need to do to be investor ready?
To be investor ready requires 3 things. One, have an idea. Know what is your product or what is your service. Know it extremely well that you can stand out from the crowd. It's called a blue ocean, where it's not everyone who is fighting for what you have.
Yeah.
You have a very unique product or service. Secondly, you need structure within your organization. In as much as it's a startup, it needs a form of accountability. Who is doing your books? Who is doing your marketing? In as much as it's one person doing more roles, at least the roles are defined. Have a structure where you can easily tell when you're making money, when you're losing money, and for how long you expect to do that. And then lastly is now the audience and who is your customer. You might have a product, you might have a system, but the demand is not there.
Okay.
So the moment you have the 3, a product, a structure, and demand for your product, then you're investor ready.
Home and ready and dry.
Yes.
Okay. You talked about value addition being one of the things that investors also look for.
Yes.
And that Africa is the area right now that's giving the most value addition, especially in the electric mobility world.
Yes.
What value addition are we adding to what already exists?
The president of the Africa Investment Bank rightfully said that e-mobility is a wave, and we missed out on the first industrial revolution. We missed out on the internet wave, and we can't afford to miss out on this wave. So what happens is essentially it's a reset button, and it's a reset button as to how we do things. When you think of a vehicle, you think of 300 or 400 parts joined into one. An electric vehicle has around 10 to 15 different parts. So an electric vehicle requires less service, less maintenance, and the life cycle is much longer than it's called an ICE vehicle, internal combustion engine. So to your question, in terms of the value addition we do in Africa, first of all, when you think of e-mobility, think of the technology. And the technology going into electric vehicles, the most expensive is the battery. Because the battery for an electric vehicle is not the same for a normal car. The normal car uses, let's say, an acid battery. But electric vehicles need a more dense battery, which is a lithium-ion battery currently. But there is research into more types of batteries. And all the materials that go into making this battery are found in Africa. Just that we don't have the capacity to mine them and, manufacture the lithium-ion batteries. But of all the parts that go into an electric vehicle, the battery being the most expensive, that is around 45% the value of the whole vehicle is in the battery.
Okay.
So if you can be able to do that in Africa, then it means the world is actually looking for us to provide that raw material to drive the electric vehicles. That is one. Secondly, when you look at the manpower that goes into building these electric vehicles, I think in Africa we are very creative. We find a way of doing so much with so little. And if you look at the numbers of let's say vehicles, out of every 1 million in the internal combustion engines, it's only about 50,000 that are electric. That's a very small fraction. So by the time these numbers grow, then it means Africa also has a very wide population that can uptake these vehicles. So those three, we have the material, they have the raw materials, we have the skill power, and we have the market.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. So Rome specifically is focusing on charging stations,
Yes.
right? Do you know the number of charging stations there are in Kenya?
Yes, I have a rough idea.
How many?
They're about between 200 and 240 currently.
Okay.
Yes.
And I ask that because I know that the investment for that is very high.
Yes.
And a lot of investors want their return on investment very quickly.
Yes.
How do you manage the conversation? How do you manage the conversation where you tell them, invest in this? We know it might take long for uptake.
Yes.
But then your return will be good.
Now, I sit a lot with investors, and at the end of the day, investors are capitalists. They're looking at what's their return on investment.
Yeah.
It's mostly not charity. And when you look at return on investment within Africa, you can't replicate what is being done elsewhere and expect it to automatically work here. We need to customize our solutions. Now, when looking at return on investment for charging infrastructure, when you look at China, there is a lot of government-driven investment in charging infrastructure, which is not the case in Africa.
Okay.
In Africa, companies still have to go the extra mile and provide the charging infrastructure for their vehicles to be used by the end user. And that provides us a very strategic challenge, because how do you quantify the return on investment on charging infrastructure? So the solution that we as Rome have managed to get for that is we deploy modular charging infrastructure. We don't buy the building, we don't buy the land. We actually use containerized charging stations, where we easily partner with existing businesses. For example, we've partnered with QuickMart, partnered with Petrol Station to have, we call it a Rome hub. So a Rome hub is a container that is modified to hold our batteries, has a very nice solar panel on top, and then it has a swap station. Thereby, any rider can check on their phone and see a map where all our chargers are. They can drive in, swap, and based on that modular approach, it's slightly cheaper to set it up, and it can move around where there's electricity, where there's no electricity, it can still function very well.
Okay.
Yes.
What other ways, what other approaches to charging stations are there other than the modular one that you guys have adopted?
No, it depends on your product, because we also have buses.
Okay.
And for our buses, the chargers are more stationary, because you need to set it up where the bus is parked at night, so that it charges overnight. And then now during the day, it can easily use the power charged at night.
Okay.
However, for the buses, the charger needs a stronger voltage. So it needs a 3-phase. You actually need to own or lease the land where it will be on, as opposed to the mobile chargers that we have on our Rome hubs. So to be able to provide a more robust solution, we've managed to actually put our chargers together, where the motorcycle charger can act also as the bus charger. There's a way to interlink them. It does not just charge our products. Secondly, these modular chargers also, in terms of the revenue streams, we also provide a swap model, where you don't have to stand there and wait for it to be charged. You can actually, leave your battery, it's charged, or you can even just hire out another one.
Okay.
So we have several ways of...
Okay, so what I've heard is that you have 3 models.
Yes.
There's the modular one, there's the one that's portable.
Yes.
I could use that word. There's the stationary one.
Yes.
And then there's one where you can swap the batteries.
Yes.
I want us to look at money. How expensive was it to do all 3? And why did you choose to do the 3 as opposed to 1?
Okay. So essentially, Rome does not operate for its own use. Actually, we've managed to make our charging stations interoperable, where any other company who uses a similar battery than ours can easily come and utilize our charging infrastructure. That way, it becomes even more attractive to investors and to the businesses we partner with. In that, they're not only targeting our vehicles, they're targeting, it's like we're setting an industry standard where any vehicle that uses a similar battery can easily come and swap at ours as long as they pay for the service. So, to your question, in terms of the various models that are there, you can, first of all, when you buy a ROM bike, you buy with a charger. You can charge at home. You ride, get home, remove the battery. Just that any socket that can charge your phone can charge our battery. Plug it in overnight and it's charged.
Inatumia tokens ngapi?
Only 2. Only 2 tokens.
It's very important because people who are watching will ask that question.
Actually, it's a good question because the range of the battery on a full charge, it goes around 80 kilometers. Now, to charge that battery from 0 to 100, it takes about 2.5 hours. Now, to charge that, it takes about 2 tokens. 1 token is about 90 shillings as by the KPLC tariffs. So if you use 2, it's around 180 shillings. So for 180 shillings, you get a full battery. So that takes you around 80 kilometers. Our bikes come with 2 batteries. Yes, that's around 150 kilometers if you have 2 batteries.
If you have 2 batteries.
Yes.
As opposed to fuel, which is currently at 190 shillings.
Yes.
And how what's the distance a full tank of fuel can use in a motorbike, the ICE bikes?
So for the ICE bike, for the moment you charge, or the moment you put 1 liter at 190, look at it per kilometer. So if how many kilometers will this take you? The moment you take the 1 liter, it won't go beyond at least 10 kilometers. So for you to be able to go for the 10 kilometers, you need at least 10 times of that. So if you look at it, basically with 1,000 shillings, compared to 1,000 shillings of token, actually 1,000 shillings of fuel is the same to 200 shillings of token, the number of kilometers, around 80 kilometers by 100 kilometers.
Back to the earlier conversation, sorry I cut you short. The financing bit of So now for the financiers, the fact that our charging stations work for more than one company gives a better return on investment. And then it's modular such that it comes with a ROM hub with chargers on top. You can put it as far as Machakos, Kalonzweni. You can put it in Garissa and it will function very well. So that way, it's not limited to where there's an electricity connection. So for the investors, that's a good thing in terms of us being able to scale the charging infrastructure. Secondly, there is proper government support in terms of private-public partnerships. KPLC have given, and IPRA have given an e-mobility tariff, which says, should you run your industry or your vehicle on an e-mobility tariff, then the energy that you consume is charged lower. So normally, outside the e-mobility tariff, let's say per kilowatt hour, during off-peak, it's around 22 shillings. Sorry, during peak hours, it's around 22 shillings. During off-peak, it shoots up to around, so actually it's the opposite. It's the opposite, sorry about that. During off-peak, that's when it's at 22. During peak hours, it's at 32. Now, if you're using the e-mobility tariff, during peak hours, it's at 16 shillings. And then off-peak goes down to 8 shillings. So the way they do that is, if you're using an e-mobility tariff, you just apply on IPRA and you're given a special meter that is able to give you an e-mobility tariff. That's good. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So that's the kind of support that you're getting from government to encourage investment in e-mobility. Yes.
So apart from that, what other policies or what other guidelines or regulations has the government put in place that's favoring electric mobility currently?
Wow, I think I could go on and on about
Please
policy.
do, because you said you're a fiscal policy specialist.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What happens is we've done a lot of lobbying. And lobbying essentially is giving value for the incentives that we get. So we are saying, if government gives us high incentives, then we should be able to give you high value. If you give us medium level incentives, we give you medium level value. If you give us low incentives, we give you low value.
Yeah.
So the government is always looking at between medium level to high level incentives that have higher returns. So the first one, if you look at between 2023 and 2024, the number of registered, let's say, across all categories, two-wheelers, four-wheelers, that were in Kenya were around 3,000 total. That is around 3,000 motorcycles. Looking at between 2023 June, when we got the Finance Act passed, which gave a zero rate to electric motorcycles, there was a 60% jump in registrations. So it shifted from around 3,000 to currently we're looking at around 9,000 vehicles on the road. So just by saying that you won't pay VAT on your vehicles means that the final product is slightly lower by 16%. So we're able to provide our electric vehicles at a more affordable rate. That's one of the high level incentives by government, whereby electric motorcycles, electric buses, and electric tuk-tuks, the three-wheelers, are all VAT zero rated. Secondly, should you localize? By localize means some parts are sourced locally. Then the import duty that you would have paid, which most of the time is around 25%, the value of the vehicle is cut down to 10%. So you pay 10% import duty if you're sourcing some parts locally. And this has also gone to grow our industries, our parts, in terms of some of the parts that they stipulate that should be sourced locally. The moment they gave that regulation, there was an increase in the quality of the parts that we do, the quantities, and a fairer price, simply because that goes to develop our own industries. So those are some of the policies that government gives. And obviously the e-mobility tariff.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yes.
Do you think the government should be involved in financing the sector? Should the government be an investor? And if yes, to what extent? If no, why?
I feel the government should be involved directly. The government stands to benefit a lot from e-mobility, but they should invest in a supporting environment. They can support in the charging infrastructure. They can support in creating awareness. They can support in just policies that are more progressive. But in terms of investing in the products, I feel that would be a conflict of interests since we can't compete with government. However, once they give us a fair environment to do our business, then they can as well uptake our products. For example, saying the presidential motorcade or police will be having electric motorcycles. Saying, for example, like KPLC, they buy a lot of electric vehicles to lead by example. So not just government, but broken down to county governments, broken down to parastatals, should have a policy that advocates for adoption of e-mobility. Yes.
When setting up your various charging infrastructure.
Yes.
You've discussed VAT exemption.
Yes.
You've discussed investors. What are some of the hidden costs that you guys met while doing this work?
When doing a business plan, we usually like giving the best case scenario that should everything prevail. This is what we stand to make. Unfortunately, the reality kicks in when you're actually now implementing your plan. And you realize when it comes to costing, some of the things that you thought the government would cater for, you end up catering for yourself. The charging infrastructure requires inverters, it requires cabling, it requires very heavy duty equipment. which you thought is already there. You're just coming to plug into it. Only to realize for you to achieve what you set out to achieve, you've had to build a whole ecosystem going back, where you need guys who know how to set up solar installations. You have guys who need to do the cabling. You need the licensing, and especially the licensing is very expensive. But currently, some counties have managed to consolidate their licenses, where if you pay for one license, it caters for several requirements. So that is the reality that we faced, that we actually spent more on setting up the infrastructure than we thought we would. Yes.
Is there any financing model that has been attempted in Kenya and compared to countries like China, which you've mentioned earlier,
yes,
that would not work when it comes to financing a business model like yours?
So it's worked elsewhere, but can't work here.
Yeah. It's worked in China, for example, which is leading, but it can't work here.
Yeah. Our charging infrastructure, like I said, it's modular. We're in an economy where people call it a Kadago economy. If you're able to package things in smaller sizes, then they move faster, as opposed to a grand investment that has a much bigger return on investment but takes longer. So for investors to get value for the investments, we had to look at what's the easiest way to enter the market. And the easiest way is through containerized charging, whereby you have your charging infrastructure in containers that can be moved around and set up where you need it at the most timely manner. Then having just a dedicated business model, for example, charging directly, did not work here. Simply because we realized we needed more than one business model just to remain afloat. The charging, there are swap stations where, just like you do with your gas, when your gas in the house finishes, you take the gas to your gas vendor, they give you a full one, and you just pay for the content. So that's the same with our batteries. You can walk into a Roam Hub, pay for what's inside, and then just pick a full one and walk off. And you can lease, whereby you have your own charger, but then if you need a battery, let's say for a day, you just go and rent it out. Once it's depleted, return it. So based on those three, they've been developed specifically for our market. That's what works with us. Elsewhere, the government invests a lot in their charging infrastructure, where you find, for example, in the States, Tesla got very good incentives to set up their charging infrastructure all over. So that kind of public-private partnership is still being developed here. We still have a long way to go. So for us to remain afloat, we needed to come up with solutions that work for us and also make sense for the investors. Yes.
What policy directions are currently exciting in the sector?
You're speaking my language.
Yes, I am.
So essentially, where we're heading, we are focused. We've seen Kenya is the capital of Africa, sorry to say. If it works in Kenya, it can easily be replicated across Africa. So we're looking at building products in Kenya that are meant for the African market. So we have three major policies that guide that. So one, we are working on a national automotive policy. So the national automotive policy brings together all the smaller policies that have been developed over the years that guide the automotive sector. We have a legal notice 84, which guides how you assemble four-wheelers and tuk-tuks. We have a legal notice 112, which guides how you assemble an electric motorcycle in Kenya. We have KS 1515, which is a KEBS policy on standards. So bringing all these policies together, we'll have a national automotive policy. That is one. Secondly, we have an East African policy. So the East African Assembly Policy makes it a level playing field within Africa, within East Africa, where should I produce a vehicle in Kenya, I don't pay import duty in Tanzania. We are all within East Africa. So the EAC policy gives each of the East African countries autonomy to localize the parts that they feel they're easily localizable. And then we now share the profit, all of us. That should you sell to Uganda, Rwanda, then there's a fair way of doing business as opposed to an import from China. They'll pay something that us we won't pay amongst ourselves. So that is the second one, the East African Motor Vehicle Assembly Policy. And then lastly, we have the African Continental Free Trade Agreement called ACFTA. So what ACFTA does is it looks at Africa as a block, the way Europe does. So if I was to trade with EU, I'm not trading with Portugal or Spain. I'm trading with EU. They have a more bargaining power as opposed to independent countries. However, when any other country trades with an African country, they're trading with that country. So that country won't have much bargaining power. So what we did is they put together all the trading blocks in Africa. The EAC, SADC, ECOWAS, and COMESA. And they sat down and wrote a paper, which is ratified now. And ratification means it has gone to each parliament of those countries and they've approved it. So ACFTA actually means that as opposed to the rules that were used in EAC, the rules that were used in COMESA have now been merged into one African trading bloc. The tariffs are going to be standardized. They're going to be less border controls. So essentially, it's going to increase intra-Africa trade from around 16% currently to 70%, which is at where Europe is. Europe trades a lot more within Europe than anywhere else on earth. So those three policies place Kenya in a very strategic place to, one, be able to increase Kenya's position within Kenya, Kenya's position within East Africa, and Kenya's position within Africa.
That sounds exciting.
I know,
Can't
right?
wait to see what happens with that, especially the African being a unit now as opposed to dealing with specific countries.
Actually, I can tell you what it will do. It will make you traveling to Africa not need a passport. You'll be able to work anywhere within Africa, travel anywhere within Africa, and trade anywhere within Africa. So the intra-Africa trade is going to be increased. It's going to boost the bargaining power of Africa with other continents. As opposed to us giving away all our raw materials, it's going to make it such that we can easily develop the industries here. And then lastly, it's going to make our population not want to move out to work.
Very important.
Exactly. We can do the same here and retain our talent. Yes.
In Andrew's wildest dreams, what would be the best thing for electric mobility in Kenya? Wildest. Yes.
I am a dreamer. And being a dreamer, I think of the impossible as a possibility. So when you mention my wildest dream, I hope you can handle it.
We'll see. Try us.
So for me, in my wildest dream, I think of my daughter. And when I think of her, I think of an environment where you don't have to worry about pollution. You don't have to worry about noise. You don't have to worry about just the fumes. I think of Wakanda. I think of a utopia where actually people are coming here and are wowed by the strides that we've made. Simply because where we are currently is a product of interests. Sometimes what is good for us and the environment is not good for investment. So how do we make our products investable? That they are good for people, they're good for planet, and they're good for profits. That's my ideal utopia.
Love it.
That she'll just one day wake up and she's getting paid for living her life the way she should. Yes.
I love that. There's the quarterly roundtable that's coming up.
Yes.
Tell us more about it and why we should attend.
Wow. Let me tell you, for us in the e-mobility world, there's a saying that you can't hide light under the bed.
Yeah.
And there's nothing as powerful as an idea whose time has come.
Mm-hmm.
And currently, the time for immobility is here. We can't escape it. The reason I'm going to that roundtable
Mm-hmm.
is because I know the value. My challenge is to someone who is not in the immobility space.
Okay.
And I can guarantee you,
Mm-hmm.
you'll either be affected
Mm-hmm.
or you know someone who will be affected. So for me, I'll be going to the roundtable to just exchange ideas with other people within the industry,
Mm-hmm.
see how we are solving problems, how to increase value, and how to stride forward. Because sometimes we are not unified. Now, that is for us within the industry. For someone who is not in the industry, they need to come and hear that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Just to know, how will this immobility affect my day-to-day?
Yeah.
I saw someone
Mm-hmm.
who rides a motorcycle during the day, and then at night, they use that motorcycle
Mm-hmm.
to run the pump that powers their farm.
Okay.
And it actually has more returns on the farm
Mm-hmm.
than during the day.
Wow.
So some of these opportunities have not yet even been discovered.
Mm-hmm.
So I would encourage anyone to come to the roundtable. It's open to both, people in immobility and those outside.
Yeah.
Just come and hear the conversation and then see how you plug in.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for welcoming us.
You're welcome.
We will be there. And thank you so much to our viewers for listening in. This has been a fantastic conversation. The roundtable will be on 2nd of October. The details will be down below.